Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Actually, no boys and girls. This is an 18 and over channel here at the Almighty Bloody F Mess official channel. And today I've got something officially cool and definitely unique. Today I decided to throw a curveball. So I'm hoping you'll forgive me, or I'm hoping you'll say, hey, something cool in left of field, or maybe you're a fan and you'll think it's absolutely cool. Today we're talking about the Bay City Rollers. Yep, I got to see the band in 1977. I was 10 years old. It was definitely unforgettable, my friends. Back in the 1970s, bands that were popular amongst my peers were mostly either stuff like Elton John and ABBA, stuff that was on the FM radio. And the stuff that was popular in the other crowd was Ted Nugent, Led Zeppelin, things like that. The truth is, Bay City Rollers were a band that mostly females were into. Where I'm from, in the state of Illinois, USA, it was one of those situations where it was pretty unforgiving. You couldn't just be a boy and be a Bay City Rollers fan. You had to catch utter hell if you were a fan of the Bay City Rollers in Illinois or the Midwest of America, because there was, and sometimes still is in certain spots, how do I put it kindly, a sort of rednecky macho attitude of guys have to like this kind of music. You don't like pop music. But I was raised with a cool mother. My mother turned me on to the Beatles. She turned me on to the Dave Clark 5, all that great British pop from the British invasion. And then she liked all the good stuff too that was American, all the good American rock and roll. She went to local sock hops in the 50s, things like that. So when the Bay City Rollers came around, she could relate because they were doing like, Bye Bye Baby and like Wouldn't It Be Nice and just different, I'm sorry, that's not a very good analogy, Wouldn't It Be Nice? Scratch that for the record, my friends. But they were doing like Bye Bye Baby, combining a certain pop sound with almost a surfy sound from back in the early 60s, like a doo-woppy thing too. Great combination, a winning combination, and they were a very, very popular band worldwide for many years. Now, when I was around 9 years old, is when I started obsessing over certain pop bands, and the Rollers were definitely one of those bands. Now, a lot of my friends got into the Rollers along the way with me because that's all I'd listened to for a short period of time. And next thing you know, kids that were listening to Ted Nugent were going, I got to give it up. I like Saturday Night, and I like Money Honey and Rock and Roll Love Letter. There were some good rock songs, man. And I really always liked the sounds of Eric Faulkner's guitar. Amazing sound, very distinct. And as a songwriter, he was definitely one of a kind, and I'll always have respect for Eric Faulkner's guitar playing. Never met the man personally, but boy, I tell you, a hell of a guitar player. I love his style. What's going on now is we're going back to the date, Monday, August the 15th, 1977. That's when they played the Illinois State Fair in Springfield, Illinois. Now, just think, I'm a young man at school carrying my notebooks around, and instead of writing Bay City Rollers all over the cover like I kind of wanted to, I was very shy back then still, believe it or not. Combination class clown, combination half shy. And I would write BCR on my notebooks, and I figured, at least I get to show my heroes, some respect while I'm at school. Along with the other rock and pop bands, I was into Kiss and ABBA, and I was into the Beatles. Well, one day, a girl came up to me in maybe 7th, 8th grade. Heck, I don't even know what year it was, but I had it on my notebook. And she says, does that stand for Bay City Rollers? And I'm like, oh boy, busted. And she makes fun of me. She's like, you like the Bay City Rollers? Now, if I would have been female, it would have been fine to like the Bay City Rollers, but it was just such a homophobic, weird atmosphere in the Midwest or in Illinois at that time. So I just said, yeah, I like the Bay City Rollers. So the year 1977 comes. The It's a Game album has been released in the summer of 77, featuring the 4 original classic members of the band. They call them the Classics. Les McKeown on the vocals, Eric Faulkner on the guitar, Stuart Woody Wood on the bass and other instruments, of course, and Derek Longmire on drums. These guys put out a different album. It's a Game was much more mature, a lot more you could tell the guys had been around a long time as far as songwriting and how their sound had changed progressively. There was like strings, things like that that made it more mature and more, I guess, relatable to an older audience perhaps. But when they started announcing that the fair was coming up, we couldn't believe it. Not only were the Rollers playing, but there were like bands like Johnny Cash playing that summer at the fair, Captain and Tennille, Casey and the Sunshine Band, and the Bay City Rollers. Well, my mother decided she was going to take me, and I couldn't have been happier, man. I was so over the moon. She found a neighbor who I remember. I remember the neighbor. Her name was Chris Eichhorn. If you're out there, Chris, hello. So we go, and the big day is coming. I'm super excited. I'm listening to all my Rollers records. I know all the songs inside and out. I've been a fan. I've had everything that ever released up until then. And what happens was we get to the car, go to the show. My mom decides to splurge a little, and she's going to buy me some gifts. So she takes me around to all the cool souvenirs, and there was a lot. There was Bay City Rollers tour programs. Got one of those. Bay City Rollers pennants. I've got one of those for the wall, which I still have on the wall behind me. And wait, maybe we can see it right now. Let's look. If you look up in the wall there behind me, see it there, that pennant? At the end of this video, I will zoom in on that bad boy and make it more visible to y'all. Whoa, camera shaky. So we get to the show and I get all these cool gifts, right? And the fair lets you keep your concert ticket stub. They don't tear it in half or keep it. You keep the whole thing. So all those years later, I had the ticket stub, of course, until 2020 when those damned Alameda fires swept through California and Oregon. And they got 2 storage units that all my stuff was in. So all my pop culture items. But hey, I got the memories as I'm sharing right now. So the show starts. I'm excited. We're walking in right when it's getting ready to start. It was amazing. 7 p.m. showtime. We get there and I was completely petrified. You have to understand, I was already freaked out enough and had this complex about liking the Rollers and being a boy, and a little boy that's into the Rollers. No, you cannot like the Rollers, you're male. I get to the show and I don't see a single other male. It was a nightmare for me because I immediately went into my shell of being, oh my God, get me to my seat quickly. I don't want to be seen, I'm the only guy. Well, all these years later, I have actually brought this up on online forums, and I've met 4 or 5 guys, and some of them friends of mine today, that were at that same show. So I don't know why I was so insecure at the time, but I went, got in my seat, and the whole time I remember trying not to look around too much so I didn't stick out. Didn't want to be that only guy in the crowd, you know? So wow, how peculiar. Well, the show starts, and I do have the actual set list that they played on the 1977 It's a Game tour. And I was going to share the song list with you. Those of you that are actually fans of the Rollers will think this is interesting, I hope. It's a Game was what they started out with from the It's a Game album, right into Sweet Virginia. Then they went into Love Fever. Of course, these are all songs from the It's a Game album. Then they did The Pie, Dance, Dance, Dance. Of course, Rebel Yell, the David Bowie cover with Eric Faulkner doing lead guitar and lead vocals. You Made Me Believe in Magic, which was a huge hit in the Midwest. Don't Let the Music Die, which is a Rollers staple and one of the most beautiful songs they ever wrote. Rock and Roll Love Letter was up next to bring the energy back up a bit. I Only Want to Be With You, one of the coolest covers ever. Dusty Springfield did the original, but the Rollers knocked it out of the park. Guaranteed to knock your socks off if you're a pop music enthusiast. Yesterday's Hero, another one, arguably one of the coolest Roller songs next to Rock and Roller. Yeah. Then they did Yesterday's Hero. Did I say that? I did. Don't Worry Baby, the Beach Boys cover, which was great. You're a Woman. Wouldn't You Like It? Don't Stop the Music. And then, of course, they went into Money Honey, which was an awesome tune. And their 17th song, and of course, for the encore, I don't believe they actually left the stage. They might have. Somebody's going to see this and say, I remember better than you, and that's good. I want to know. Please let me know in the description area. Did they do an encore, or did they just do the show and walk off? Because they did Saturday Night. Saturday, night. You know the song. So they did that awesome hit, and, you know, it was magnificent. Some highlights during the show included they had big fences in between the audience, which was like a big set of stadiums, kind of bleacher seating. And in between that was two huge barriers with these big fences. I remember being very impressed, not only with the sea of like tartan scarves being, waved back and forth with all the different band members' names on them, but the certain girls that were running out into the field, getting up over the first fence, halfway up to the second fence, and then, well, finally getting nailed by security. And I was very impressed by those girls. There must have been at least 4 or 5 of them that I saw, and that was very impressive, girls. Also, during the show, it was a really good vibe. The place was completely packed. Roller Mania was definitely in the air, and it was nice to be there, being a male or not a male. And of course, these days, I could care less. I would never have even been slightly embarrassed about something these days. And I do believe it was about $7, give or take. The trouble is I had that ticket stub until those fires, so I can't tell you that information. But I want to show you the actual pennant in a minute from the show. And I got to say, something strange happened to me in my life. The guy that started the band, well, the Longmire brothers, Alan and Derek Longmire. Alan, the founding member, a guy that was always, I always thought Al was cool. Never met the guy. I always thought he had a good vibe about him. Liked him. He seemed kind of neutral compared to other people in the world. Say that. But years later, I became not only friends, but I got to work with the son of Alan Longmire. Yep. Shout out to my friend Jordan Longmire over in Stirling, Scotland area. Jordan, great guy, super guy, good guy that would give you the shirt off his back. I was blessed enough to not only record 1 song, but 3 songs with this legend. He's a legend in my mind, and he should be in yours too. He's got a gig coming up too in Scotland and Edinburgh in September. It's easy to find on the internet, my friends, I assure you. Hit me up if you need more information about that and you're, say, in Scotland and you want to know, or if you want to travel there. But yeah, man, we did a great version, if you ask me, because Jordan knocked it out of the park with a song called Baby Please Don't Go, which is the old blues standard. That's on YouTube under Jordan Longmire and Derek Moody /Bloody F Mess. If you want to check out my music video with the great Jordan Longmire. Again, Jordan, thanks, man. And my friends, I want to wrap this up by showing you the actual pennant that my mother bought for me at the Illinois State Fair on August the 15th. See my notes? It proves it. 1977. Let's go ahead and flip this pennant. Sorry about the bad lighting, but there you go. That was the actual pennant that purchased that day by my awesome mother. This has been another fun video for me to make. I hope you guys will take the time to like this channel. Please subscribe if you would. Give me a like for the video, I should say. And maybe leave a comment or share it if you like. But remember one thing. Don't let the music die, my friends, and keep on rockin'.